This isn't a list of the worst things about Windows 10. It's not a list of reasons why you shouldn't use it. It's not a list of reasons why it's horrible compared to Linux or to OS X. It's a show about the little things. The little nagging things that aren't bad at first but will slowly drive you insane. This is the top 7 most annoying things about Windows 10. It's not about the spying that Microsoft always denies it does, even though they made a version of Windows 10 in China that specifically doesn't spy on you. It's not the habit it has to sometimes uninstall applications like Munt or Alcohol 50%, was it 52% or something? It's not the sometimes security breaches that occur. It's not the constant updates that you cannot avoid or delay if you have the home version of Windows 10. It's not the fact that you're not the owner of the operating system anymore. You're more like a mid to low tier user that doesn't actually have access to all the options, all the abilities you could have, like entering folders that Windows made and you have no idea what's in there. It's not even the amount of bloatware that Windows 10 comes with that you have to remove via the PowerShell because they don't have uninstall options like they should have. It's the little things that, as I've said, will drive you insane. That being said, let's get started with number 7. Multiple desktop is an absolute lie. Now, I said I wasn't going to compare it to Linux or stuff, but this is sort of a bit of a comparison. Have you ever used Linux? If you have, you know that it's had multiple desktops since forever. And when I saw the option coming to Windows 10, I thought to myself, yeah, super, yeah, I want that, sure. It's a lie. It's just there to fill up space on a checklist. It has multiple desktops, okay, but it doesn't. It doesn't actually have multiple desktops. It has multiple toolbars, basically, because all you do when you switch to a new desktop is that all the icons from the toolbar disappear of the active applications, and you can open up new ones. But the important bit, the desktop, is always the same. You cannot change the desktop to have multiple versions for each, multiple desktop. And the reason you can have this is a bit bizarre because Windows does support multiple desktop folders feeding into your desktop. I know this because at one point after the last update, Windows decided to make about 3 desktop folders that were from users of different access level. So no matter if I was running as admin or not, I couldn't actually access them without first authenticating as admin, but it worked after I deleted the folder, the icons in the folder that was being directed towards the desktop. So they can do it, they can have multiple folders for desktops. That's not an issue. But actually getting this implemented would probably take someone there actually caring that people, maybe want to use their desktops as a work environment that can adapt to different situations. Like for example, I'm editing a video, I want the desktop that has all my icons for the, editing software. I'm gonna write something, switch to a black or starry night desktop that has just the writing software on it. You can do that. There is no option for that at all. Why would there be? Because that would have actually been useful. Number 6. The start menu is a disaster. Now, take a look at this menu. I ask you, does this look like a start menu? Does this look like something that's made for an operating system built in the year goddamn 2015 or I don't know when this was released anymore. I just don't care. This is an incredible step backwards compared to Windows 95 because Windows 95, when you launched the start menu, you had categories for programs, for accessibility. You had categories upon categories that you could customize, so you could have folders and drop-down menus to put anything you wanted everywhere you wanted. Here, no. Here, you don't have that. You have an endlessly scrolling list that ranks everything alphabetically and, if you're lucky, recently used, as well as letting you pin some of the stuff that you use more often. You know what would have been a good compromise between this more modern style and what Windows 95 had? Windows 7. It had basically what I needed. Heck, Windows 10 in the initial version had an actual working start menu. It didn't have this list of everything alphabetically listed that's kind of pointlessly put there, along with what sometimes appear to be ads for mobile-like games from the Windows Store that I actually have no idea how they got there. No, really, while I'm recording the audio for this, not the video sadly, I found a mobile game from the Windows Store installed in the start menu, something called Royal Revolt. I checked to see if I accidentally installed it from Steam or something, but it's not on Steam. And the fact that I could uninstall it means that it was at one point installed by Windows. Behind my goddamn back, you bastard. Number 4. Dualized options everywhere. There is no consistency in this. It's almost like they made Windows 10 out of something that wasn't Windows 10, Windows 7, and they're actually gonna build Windows 10 eventually on top of the previous operating system, but currently it's not there yet. So that means that, especially after the last couple of updates, the Creator and the Anniversary update, most of the options you have are copied. They're in two places at the same time, and one of them usually has more features than the other one, but you're not sure which, and you have to keep switching between them until you find exactly what you need. For example, hey, I want to uninstall something. Can I right click and uninstall and directly uninstall it? Well, yes, sometimes you can, but otherwise you'll be led to the old uninstall application window, not the new one, because that one may not actually have what you're looking for. Same goes for options in regards to folders, taskbar, desktops, backgrounds, everything. It is annoying as absolute hell. And it kind of makes you wonder, why don't you just keep one of them? Why do you have to reuse the old ones? I mean, it's not like you keep using the same one that you've had in Windows since Windows 90, well, Windows 3.1. Sure, Windows 95 had bits of Windows 3.1 in it, but you wouldn't actively use them. You wouldn't use the old file manager even though it was there. So why all the duplication? Why can't you just finish at one point the transition and do it all at once instead of being it half and half and uncertain and stupid? How long is it gonna be until we actually get a unified operating system? Is it gonna be with Windows 11? It's gonna be Windows 11, isn't it? It probably will. Number 4, color customization. Remember when operating systems let you customize colors? Yeah, I know, it seems like such a little thing, but when you look at the modern ones, they don't really let you. Android does not let you. Windows 10, up until the last update, absolutely would not let you. You wanted to have the blue color you used to like having on your taskbar in each Windows operating system to let you actually customize it, Windows 7, Windows XP in some portions. You couldn't have that. You had to wait until the Creator update to actually be able to set the color of your taskbar to be closer to what you would have liked it to be. Up until then, you could only choose from a predefined color. Now you can use a custom color, but hey, you know what? You still can customize text color. So if you want to have the exact blue color you want, that bright, beautiful blue that sort of reminds you of the install screen of Windows 95 with that superb wallpaper with the blue computer behind it, that superb vision of the future. If you want to have that color, well, you won't be able to see what day of the week it is or the date when you look at the clock, because you can't change the color of that bit of the clock. That's always gonna stay pretty much a bluish tint that you cannot modify and will never be visible. And if you turn on transparency, well, you are completely screwed because even more stuff won't be visible on account of you not being able to change the color of the text like you could in Windows goddamn 95. And again, they added the ability to let you change the color to a custom one in the Creator update. This is what Microsoft believes that creators do. I dread to think what a more user-focused update will do. It'll probably remove the option to, I don't know, click, because users may get scared if they have the option to click, and they'll panic and they may do unspeakable things, like uninstall Edge. Number 3. Working with multiple windows. This is something that will afflict people that use their computer for a lot of work and have multiple windows open. I mean, a lot of windows open. Working with them is horrible. Let's say you have 5 instances of OpenOffice, or LibreOffice in my case, open, each one with their own separate file, and you need to quickly switch between those files and another word processor and the web browser and an image editor, and you need to efficiently move between them. You can't. There is no option to switch between groups of open applications. They're all stored in a queue, with priority being given to the last ones used. That's how it's always been when you Alt-Tab things in Windows. But since we're in a more modern age, why don't we have the ability to group them together somehow, so you can switch between groups of them and then switch between them in the individual groups? I think OS X actually has this. I can't be actually sure. Or if you can't do that, how about this? Let's say you have 2 monitors. Okay, I want to tile the windows on one monitor, so they'll be one next to another or one above another. I can do that. If I use that option, all the windows will take on bizarre, ridiculous shapes on both monitors, and they will often switch monitors. It's a complete and utter disaster. It's like living in hell, and the devil is laughing at you for trying, for believing that at one point someone working on Windows thought, you know what? Maybe people want a bit more control over how windows are handled between multiple monitors, so let's just take the settings you put on one monitor have effect on only one monitor unless the user says otherwise. I don't know, maybe pressing shift. No, that's not possible. That is never possible on Windows 10. Number 2, desktop icons moving back constantly. You see, when I get an operating system, I would like it if it worked by default and I wouldn't have to buy Stardock fences to get the icons on the screen to stay put. They don't. After I restart my PC, once in a while, they'll go back where they were. I'll not have them properly organized, some on my second monitor, staying there, doing their thing, being where I need them to be in the morning when I start my day job. No, they move around. They go back to where they think they were, then they go back again, a bit, but not in the same place. Windows keeps shuffling them about. And it's not, oh, you should disable auto arrange. It's disabled. It's always been disabled. But it doesn't keep them there. Oh, and if the monitor resolution changes, oh boy, then that's an absolute nightmare. Good luck putting them back together if you have a lot of icons on your desktop. You know, your workspace. The place you would use to organize things. That you can't use to organize things because by default you can't. So you have to buy fences, which is an okay software that I should actually get. Because at least the people at Stardock actually understand what the user needs. Unlike Microsoft, that only understands instilling despair in its user base. And number 1 is the stop pixel. Have you ever used 2 monitors on a computer? It's amazing. When you go from 1 monitor to 2, it just changes your world. You have now so much more space, so many more windows can be open at the same time. You can dual task, multitask. You can efficiently do even one task even better now that you have access to all the information you need, or most of it, at a single glance. It gets even better with 3 or 4 monitors. It can be amazing. You can even switch windows between your monitors so easily. You could do that so easily. You can't now because they added a pixel, 1 pixel at the corner of a monitor, right in between where the monitors meet, that stops any window from passing. You can't disable it, you can't tweak it. It's there and it'll never leave. Because Lord knows, why would a user want to drag a window from one monitor to another in a straight line on the top of the screen? It's not like that's where windows usually are. So instead you have to make a curve when you're dragging it. A curve that takes about a half a second longer to do than the actual direct transition would. It may not sound like much, but over the course of 2 years, it'll drive you insane. You'll stop using that method of moving windows. You'll start using Windows key S and the directional keys, which will not always be what you want. And when you move them from one monitor to another anyway, you have to do it at a certain speed. Otherwise, the operating system will believe that you're trying to actually dock a window to the edge and will stop you from going over to the other monitor. And you cannot tweak the strength of that setting. It'll always be there. It's almost like Microsoft is actively trying to discourage people from having more than one monitor, which I know they are, because if they weren't, they would have made the second taskbar, the third one, the fourth one, the however many of them you have, actually useful. You can't put shortcuts on them. You cannot put anything on them. I'm amazed that at least they added the clock. Like in the creator update, they made the clock visible on the second toolbar. It wasn't there before. Or was in the anniversary one, I don't remember. But you can't actually do anything with it, can you? You can't put individual shortcuts on each toolbar. You can have the icons for the applications you have open on one monitor on there, but not the shortcuts to launch them. It's stupid. It's annoying. And it's slowly driving me up the walls. I shouldn't be forced to buy other software that lets me customize this operating system. Because this used to be the operating system you could customize any way you wanted by default with the tools it had at its disposal since the get-go. It's not that anymore. It's turning into something horrible, made for hipsters and people who don't work for a living. It's starting to make me think, well, maybe compiling a Linux kernel by myself for my own CPU isn't such a bad idea, is it? I mean, who needs compatibility with the software you're using to do videos? I can probably do it in Blender. Or you know what? ArcOS only costs about $100 and something bucks, and it's got Windows 3.1 support by default. I can play SimTower in it without emulation, and it's probably not spying on me, I think. Well, that was it for the top 7 most annoying things about Windows 10. I'd like to give 2 special mentions to the fact that the search function doesn't actually work. The one in Start menu, it just mostly shows you Bing results. Even when you have stuff put right on a desktop, it can find them because it hasn't indexed them. Because you can actually search things, it just searches for the index. And also to Cortana, not because of the spying thing or the fact that she is for the most part useless, but because whenever you talk to her, she sets the microphone volume to 90%, which may not sound like something bad, but when you're dealing with a microphone like the one I have, that last 10% is the difference between it sounding okay and it's sounding kinda low. And it always does this, constantly, to the point where you just want to strangle her and throw her body in a suitcase and dump it into the ocean, just like Al Pacino did. He was onto something. He certainly was. Goodbye.